What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Halo Effect podcast. This episode is going to be called The Power of Attracting versus Forcing. And this episode was inspired by my recent hire of my very first assistant. That is right. I just hired my very first assistant. It is a huge accomplishment for me as a business owner, and it is something that I believe is going to help me scale and it's going to help me grow my business and my brand as well. And the funny way that I attracted my assistant was me simply thinking about the type of person I wanted to work with and thinking about the fact that I needed somebody to work with me and vice versa for me to be able to scale my business to where I wanted to be. Part of where I'm at with my business is very intentional with relationships, very intentional with who I meet, who I want to work with, and vice versa. Where I'm at right now, guys, is I'm simply focusing on quality over quantity, especially with my very last closing. That was the biggest closing of my career. I saw and was reminded of the importance of working with quality people and having quality relationships. And so that is where my focus is right now with my business. All I want is quality. Eventually, I will have more quantity, but at least down the road, that quantity is going to be filled with quality as opposed to just me adding as many people and contacts into my database and into my circle as possible. And that may include adding people that, you know, are not like me and vice versa, or we may not mesh well. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We are all different. We are all individuals. And that is the beautiful thing about being a human being. However, it always feels better when you are around your tribe, when you are around people like you. Now, it does not mean that I am not willing to help any and all people. I am. However, people have to be willing to help themselves. And I feel that with my type of people and my type of tribe, those are the types of people that I like to work with. People that like to help themselves, people that like to listen, people that seek guidance, people that ask questions, people that are open minded, people that are ready to take the initiative to be able to achieve what it is that they want. So, again, I am focusing on quality over quantity in my business and my relationships right now. And I can honestly tell you that I am the happiest that I've ever been in business throughout my last 5 years that I've been in this real estate game. Honestly, it is a life changer. It is a business changer as well. And I believe that 2024, because of that, is going to be the best year yet of my career, coming off of 2023, which was the best year of my career at that point, a year in which a lot of people struggled. However, I kept the same mind frame then, quality over quantity, and focus on the people that are willing to do what it takes to achieve their goals. So going back to how I attracted my assistant, this was a thought that I had in my mind for a couple months now, knowing that I needed an assistant to be able to put some things in place, systems and processes, things that are crucial for a business to be able to scale and to be able to build those quality relationships that I was mentioning. And being that I had that in mind, I took on social media a couple weeks back and I posted a video of me expressing how I was looking for an in person assistant here in town. Now, a lot of people hit me back up and they were like, well, Upwork, check out Fiverr, you know, not knowing that I had already worked with these platforms for years now, but it's just not the same. It was not what I was looking for. And so a couple days went by and I go over to a friend's house who was also a real estate agent. And I meet one of his family members who used to work for him as his assistant. And we sparked up a conversation and it was just like seemed like a perfect fit. And I'm really happy. Even as of right now, we've been working for the last couple weeks and I'm just really happy with the fact that I found her. She takes initiative. She is excited about what she is doing. And she is also, you know, building her business on the side, doing her thing on the side, and complementing what she's doing with event planning, with helping businesses grow through systems and processes, and putting that together with helping myself out and whatever else she has going on. She's quite the stud. She's an entrepreneur. But the reason why I wanted to touch on this topic was because I met with her on Sunday, and I was just like, man, just kind of how this came about, this relationship is so different and opposes kind of what you hear traditionally, especially as you go into real estate. And that is, make sure you do a proper behavioral test or personality test, and make sure you have 6 months in reserves to be able to pay a salary, and make sure you have this and that before you're able to actually make this hire or this move. And I'm all for that. I'm all for planning, but at the same time, and I was just telling her, like, I don't know if, like, I want to tell this to people, but I feel like it's a little bit off the wall. It's a little woo, it's a little like that doesn't work. That's not how business operates in the traditional sense. And one of the things that I've kind of prided myself on is the fact that I'm non-traditional in some senses. I don't like to follow all the rules. I don't believe that all the rules, all the way of, the one or two ways of doing things is the only way for you to do things. Like, I've never operated that way. And, the way that I operate is I believe in principles, I believe in laws, I believe in principles of spirituality, principles of the universe, laws, things that kind of happen that you sometimes can't even explain, but they happen. And that's kind of how, like, my career, my life has been, in a sense, like, things that just kind of happen at the right time, in the right space. But the point I'm trying to make is that they never just kind of happen at the right time in the right space. That is created by the thoughts and actions that happen before that takes place. And it takes time. Like, something like that takes a lot of time to master. And you got to have a lot of awareness about what is going on within you, within your thoughts, and also what is going on around you. So I just wanted to make this episode to essentially relay the message that attracting is a lot more powerful than you forcing a situation. When you force a situation, that situation is driven by ego. You are forcing that situation to come together. And situations like that never last. Situations like that leave you feeling, and everybody else involved feeling like, ooh, this doesn't feel right. Like, that wasn't okay. Like, that wasn't cool. I didn't appreciate this experience. You know what I mean? When you attract a situation, it falls seamlessly. You put very little effort. Things just fall into place, and it's so easy. And once it's done, you kick back and you're like, wow, did that really just happen like that? Like, is this for real? And see, if you're anything like me, you grew up in a chaotic environment where things were always happening, and you felt like you had to make things happen, and you felt like you also had to operate in different ways and places depending on where you were, who you were around, to be able to protect yourself, to be able to stay safe, right? Going from that mindset and mentality to a mentality that says, just kick back and let things happen the way that they're supposed to happen. Not a lot of people are going to vibe with that. Not a lot of people are going to feel comfortable with that. And I think to be able to feel comfortable with that, maybe you got to get outside of the environment that you are in, and that is in your external environment and also in your internal environment. Because our internal environment is probably the most important environment that we operate out of. What are we thinking? What are we feeling? How do we perceive? How aware are we of ourselves? And I think that that's something that's very important for you to know. And understanding your internal state is going to help you attract what it is that you need and want in your life. Now, am I perfect at this? I am not. I'm still getting better. But the powerful thing is being aware of how it works and what it looks like, and identifying situations and things and places that you've attracted before, whether good or bad, based on where you were internally before those things happen. So super, super, super important point that I want to make there. And this topic just reminded me of a book that I read before, and I was a part of a coaching program a couple years back that kind of went over this book and the teachings of this book as well. But if you have never read this book, you absolutely need to. It's called Power versus Force by David R. Hawkins. And essentially, this book talks about the different levels of consciousness from a scale of 0 to 1,000. And the scale represents various levels of human consciousness, from the lowest level of human consciousness, which is shame, to the highest level of human consciousness, which is enlightenment. Enlightenment is, for me, all aware, all perceptive. You're just open, you're enlightened, you understand how things work, left, right, front, back, 360. You understand it. So in this book, David R. Hawkins talks about the levels of consciousness from 0 to 1,000, from lowest being shame, highest being enlightenment. And he essentially makes a distinction between force and power. So, force is based on ego and control and power, which arises from a deeper, more authentic source within oneself. Force seeks to dominate, while power operates from a place of integrity, alignment with universal principles. So, essentially, what that's saying is that force, I'm going to make it happen my way, self made, me, nobody else, me. I don't have friends. I don't have teammates. The whole world's against me. I'm going to make it happen. It's me against the world. Let's go. Power comes from a more controlled place, a deeper, more authentic place where you understand how things work. You understand that force isn't always the way to go. You understand that sometimes the best thing you can do is just sit back and relax and allow things to happen, that you don't have to be involved all the time. You don't have to speak up all the time. You don't have to make a point all the time. Power is living within your own internal integrity, what you feel like is the best way to be in that particular moment. That is internal integrity. Are you following your values? Are you following who you are? Are you standing up and are you showing up the way that you are? Because sometimes what happens is we feel the need, we feel the influence of what is going on around us, and we think that we have to shape ourselves to be able to fit that, to be able to be accepted and liked. But that is not always the answer. Sometimes people are relying on you to keep your integrity within yourself, for you to be able to empower those people to break out of the cycles and bad habits that they can't break out of. And so they're looking for somebody who they can find as an inspiration to be able to do that. Power versus force. It's that deep. It's that deep. That comes from awareness, enlightenment, and consciousness. The other point that the book makes is truth and integrity. The book emphasizes the importance of truth and integrity in personal and societal growth. Living in alignment with truth and integrity facilitates personal growth and contributes to positive change in the world. Truth and integrity. Responsibility and accountability. Point number 4. This book emphasizes the importance of taking responsibility for one's own actions and their consequences. This includes recognizing the impact of one's choices on oneself and others and taking accountability for them. Sometimes we're not aware of how our actions are going to affect other people. And I think being aware of that also keeps us away from making stupid decisions that are harmful for ourselves. Transcending limiting beliefs, power versus force, encourages readers to transcend limiting beliefs and adopt a mindset of possibility and growth by letting go of fixed perspectives and embracing openness. Individuals can tap into their inner power and potential. One of the biggest things that I've heard so far in my life is uh, this is the way that I am. This is the way that I am, and I cannot change. It is impossible. It is impossible to change how I am. I've been like this for 25 years, 30 years, 40, 45 years. I cannot change. And that is a lie. You can change. Anybody can change. The brain has the ability to rewire itself through neuroplasticity. And we are able to create new habits, we're able to create new thought processes if we only work on it. So, there is no such thing as a fixed perspective unless you want it to be. We can always change our mind, we can always change who we are and grow for the benefit of ourselves and others. Point number 6 is spiritual evolution. The book discusses the role of spiritual evolution in personal and collective transformation. Hawkins suggests that as individuals progress along the scale of consciousness, they contribute to the overall evolution of humanity. Compassion and love. Point number 7. Compassion and love are portrayed as powerful forces for positive change in the world. Cultivating compassion and love towards oneself and others fosters personal growth and contributes to the upliftment of humanity. Point number 8, consciousness and healing. The book explores the connection between consciousness and healing, suggesting that raising one's level of consciousness can facilitate physical, emotional, and spiritual healing. When we raise our own personal level of consciousness, we are now influencing the growth of the collective consciousness that is in the world. We are all a collective consciousness, and I do believe this. I read this in another book. I believe it was The Seed of the Soul. It could have been The Seed of the Soul or another book that I read. And so this book made a beautiful point that we are all our own individual consciousness, but we're also a part of a collective consciousness within the world. And we're part of our, a collective consciousness within the city that we live in, our neighborhood, the state, the nation, the country, nation and country, the continent, the world. We are all connected in one way, shape, or form. Point number 9, nonviolence and peace. The book advocates for nonviolent approaches to conflict resolution and emphasizes the importance of promoting peace at both personal and global levels. Point number 10, self realization. Ultimately, Power versus Force encourages readers to embark on a journey of self realization and spiritual awakening by aligning with higher principles and transcending ego driven motivations. Individuals can unlock their true power and contribute to a more harmonious world. So, those are some of the key points from the book Power versus Force. And the reason why I wanted to talk about the book was because it reminded me of, how me attracting my assistant came about and how me attracting the clients that I want to work with and just all the things that I've been able to create in my life, especially the last 5 years in my personal life and in business. Um, and how those things have developed based on the level of personal growth that I have embarked in myself. Some people may be asking, why are you so big on this? Why are you always talking about this? It seems, because for me, I feel like I'm always talking about this. And I love it. The reason why I love it is because it's real, it's honest, it's we're talking about something that matters, and those are the types of conversations that I like to have. I like to talk about things that matter. And the reason why I'm so big on this is because me myself I have spent a lot of time trying to force things to happen, trying to make things happen. And I've just gotten exhausted. I've gotten tired. And I've realized that I've spent a lot more energy than I should have to get to where I am. And once I started practicing this and started practicing gratitude, there has been an internal shift within me that now is okay with attracting, now is more present, now is more open minded. And I want the same thing for you. I want the same thing for the people that listen to me, that follow me. I want the same thing for you. One of the things that has always bothered me in a sense, and I have to work on this and I have to get over it, is how should I say this? One of the things that has always bothered me is people thinking that what I do doesn't come from a good place. If anybody has ever thought that, um, and I think the biggest thing that the reason why it affects me is because I take that personally. I take that personally because I know who I am, and I know that I've always tried to come from an honest place. I've always tried to come from a place of love. I've always tried to come from a place of trying to help others. Now, it doesn't always look like kind. It doesn't always look like, sunshine and rainbows, but that is not who I am as a person. Like I am very like direct sometimes, and I'm a little bit of a tough love type of person. That's just how I am. However, that doesn't mean that what I am doing and my intentions are not coming from a good place. And I think that if we could just, as people, really try to be better at discerning where the intention behind things and where something is coming from, we will save ourselves a lot of problems. Because sometimes what I see happening is that somebody comes to you or me or whoever with a sweet voice or a smile, or oh, I can help you, or whatever, and their intentions are really not that good, but just because it's packaged in a way that it looks attractive, that it looks sweet, that it looks kind, that it looks like gentle, it doesn't mean that that is the case. And the same goes on the opposite side. Just because somebody is a little maybe rough around the edges, or a little rugged, or a little tough love, or is harping a little bit, or screaming, or raising their voice, does not mean that that person's intentions are not good. And so I really think and hope that as people, we could be more discerning about the intentions of people, and really like seeing through what is being pitched to us, seeing through and really trying to understand where that person is coming from is very important. So I just kind of went off on a tangent, but hopefully it was a good tangent. And that's pretty much all I had for today's episode of the Halo Effect podcast. Remember, power versus force. Real power is attracting. Real power is a higher level of consciousness. Real power is enlightenment. Real power is compassion, love. Real power is empathy. Me as an agent now, I am not going to convince anybody to do anything. Am I going to motivate you sometimes? Yes. Am I going to push you? Am I going to challenge you? Yes. And you should want that from somebody you're working with. If I'm your friend, I'm not going to be a yes man. If I'm your friend, I'm not going to follow everything you do. If I'm your friend, you're an individual, I'm an individual. And if I think that you could do better in some areas, I'm going to give you some constructive criticism. And that's the same thing if you're my client. But I love all my clients and I appreciate all my clients. And at the end of the day, what I want for my clients is for them to achieve what they want for themselves and their families. And that is how I operate as a person, not just an agent, but that's how I am as a person. And sometimes people don't get that, but that's okay. That is okay, because I am not meant to work with those people, and vice versa. I only want to work with the people that want to take accountability, want to take responsibility, and want to be pushed if they need to be pushed. And if not, they're willing to do everything they need to do to be able to achieve their goals. Guys, real estate is a beautiful thing. It is a very lucrative thing. You can set yourself up and your family very nicely in the future. And that is all I'm trying to do, because that is what I'm doing for myself. I'm setting myself and my family up nicely for the future through real estate. And I'm in a sense, I am leading the way. I am paving the way. I am figuring things out. Of course, there's people that have done it before me, but we are all part of different generations and different circles, and everything just kind of comes into place. But that is one of the things that I'm trying to help people, especially that I know with. Now, one of the things that I'm realizing is that not everybody is receptive and or perceives the help the same way, and that is okay. I am here for the ones that do. I'm here for the ones that want to be helped. I'm here for the people that want to create something special for themselves and their families. Because at the end of the day, I know one thing: God is going to take care of me. I'm going to take care of me. I'm going to be fine. Power versus force. Power versus force. Let's not force anything that is not for us. Relationships, love, finances, work, partnerships. Let's not force anything that is not for us. Let's understand when something's life span has come to an end. Everything is for a season. Well, not everything, but a lot of things are for a season. And you have to be able to know and identify when things are coming to an end and be willing to let them go. Trust me, when you let that one thing go, or person go, or place go, or whatever, you are making way for something new in your life. So remember that. All right, guys. So that being said, thank you all for hopping on to another episode of the Halo Effect podcast. I felt like this episode was fire. Make sure to share this episode with somebody who can benefit from this. Make sure to follow me on all social media platforms, Ruben Halo, Instagram, TikTok, and also make sure to check out my website, halointl.com, for your next move. If you're thinking about moving into the Denver area or out of the Denver area, reach out to me. I am more than happy to help you out. With that being said, thank you all for hopping on, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Halo Effect podcast.